Renting a property involves a legal agreement between the landlord and the tenant. This agreement, or lease, outlines the rights and responsibilities of both parties. Understanding these is crucial for a smooth renting experience. A lease or tenancy is a contract where a property owner, the landlord, transfers possession of their property to another, the tenant, for a set period. The tenant pays rent in return. Key elements of a valid lease include the tenant's exclusive possession, a definite lease term, and the intention to create a lease. Leases come in several forms. A fixed-term lease ends automatically after a specific period. A periodic lease renews at intervals, like monthly, and requires notice to terminate. Tenancy at will has an uncertain duration and can be ended any time. Tenancy at sufferance occurs when a tenant remains after the lease expires without the landlord's consent. Both landlords and tenants have rights and obligations called covenants. Landlords must provide quiet enjoyment, meaning the tenant can use the property without interference. They can't prevent the tenant from using the property for its intended purpose, and must ensure the property is fit for habitation. Landlords are also responsible for property taxes and structural repairs. Tenants must pay rent on time and cannot assign or sublet the property without the landlord's consent. They must allow the landlord access for inspections and repairs, pay their utility bills, and take reasonable care of the property. Tenants cannot make alterations without the landlord's consent and must use the property only for permitted purposes. If either party breaches the lease, there are consequences. If a tenant fails to pay rent, the landlord can sue, apply for a writ of distress to seize goods, or even terminate the lease. If the landlord breaches, the tenant can seek damages or specific performance. A lease can end in several ways. Upon expiry, if both parties agree to a surrender. If the tenant breaches the agreement, forfeiture. If the tenant buys the property, if a diplomatic clause is exercised, upon notice, or due to frustration, like an en bloc sale. Bankruptcy or death of the tenant can also terminate a lease. 430-5 URA rules. In Singapore, the Urban Redevelopment Authority, URA, has rules affecting leases. For example, there are limits on the number of unrelated occupants in a private residential unit, and short-term rentals are restricted. Internal partitioning must also adhere to certain conditions. Understanding landlord-tenant law is essential for both landlords and tenants to protect their rights and fulfill their obligations. Always refer to the full lease agreement and seek legal advice if needed.